plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now. Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. What a fantastic start to a very, very sunny day here in Djuma Private Game Reserve. Whew, I thought a waterhole would be a very good place to start, and that's how I'm going to continue. But we've got a lovely damselfly perched here on this fallen over knobthorn tree. I think all the feeds across Africa today will be searching for animals in the shade. So it's that time of day, everyone, for your live safari through the African bush. Fabulous to have you all on board for the sunset safari of today. But the sun has definitely not, well, it's not anywhere near setting, that's for sure. But it will at some point later on in the drive. I think it's easier for me to close my eyes. Good afternoon, my name is Lauren. I do have Davy on camera once again. Thank you, Davy. He's put his hands up to give me some shade. And our damselfly flew away, I'm afraid. But it's very uncommon for us to get damselflies on screen. Normally, the dragonfly counterparts are the ones that are most commonly seen around here, and they get all the screen time. That is a dragonfly. So we've managed to show you them both in the space of 1 minute. But it's great to have you here. We need you to talk to us. That is the whole point in our safaris. You can interact with us in many different ways. If you're on Twitter, please use that hashtag WildEarth. If you're chatting on the YouTube chat, please use @FC. There's another option. You can head over to the WildEarth website and go to the live safari page where you can submit your questions. But if you're under 18, kids, please do email us. We love your questions. We really, really love them. Send them via email, and that's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Now, I mentioned it was hot, but how hot is it exactly? Well, it's 33 degrees Celsius and 91 degrees Fahrenheit. But it feels almost like 100 degrees. And that's why Gowrie Dam was the perfect place to come. I'm also just going to peer over the dam walls, see if there's any signs of Tingana. I didn't manage to check on him this morning. We found the Talamati pride and in all sorts of other things. We had carmine bee-eaters and an incredible sighting with the martial eagle. So we may as well check to see if Tingana's around, and then I'll continue going from Waterhole to Waterhole. There's mating dragonflies everywhere, but they're just not staying still. So I have a fantastic piece of news for you all. Tswalu is back with us once again, so we're going to send you across to Deirdre to say good afternoon.
Yay, we are back. And of course, as we always start, there was a baboon in that tree and it's just jumped out the tree. So it's so excited for me, Deirdre, to be back on Safari Live and Craig on camera. And hopefully this afternoon we're heading out towards an area where we're going to follow up on a hyena den. We've got some news. Maybe we find the little pups. But looking at the weather, we're sitting at about 26 degrees, 78 Fahrenheit. And this is pretty much the forecast for the next week. On and off rain, some beautiful, beautiful cloud cover. We have had fantastic rains in the week that you've been gone. Some areas of Tswalu up to 400 mils of rain, so almost double our annual rainfall in some of our areas in the south. So really, really nice grass growth. Absolutely beautiful. So we did have a baboon, and there's a whole troop of them running around in the bushes, but of course nobody that wants to be on camera this afternoon. They're all heading down to the Waterhole and then up to the mountain for resting. We're going to head out north this afternoon and see if we can follow up on that spotted hyena. So as we head off, we're going to send you across to Andrew, who's also at a waterhole like Lauren.
Good afternoon everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. We're also checking around watering hole, which is the best time actually for the afternoon to do that. There's a possible of maybe animals to arrive, swim, well, it's great. And it's actually very hot today, though. Should actually expect the animals to do that. And my name is Andrew. On camera this afternoon, I have Simon. So we actually do kind of like dam check this afternoon, just to see if there is going to be any, specifically elephants that love to swim during this course of the day when it's too hot. What we're talking about, we're standing on 33 degrees and 91 Fahrenheit, so it's there, open sky, and most of the animals will be actually in shade. Here we got a beautiful watering hole. All you see, it's actually blue sky. And there's an African spoonbill doing its search for frogs, fishes around this dam. If you look at the big, looks like a teaspoon. So it does that. Dip it into the water. Swing it around as it moves. Sense and catch. Most of the water birds, they are very well developed with the virile you know, like pencil leg, very long legs, long beak, because they got to spend a lot of time search for their diet, which is in water. I don't know if it's got something there. Can't see what it was, but it's so pink if it's small. So we can sit back here, watch beautiful sound coming from the background as we were watching this bird doing its search. Fiona, you're saying you love how this bird hunts. You're very right, it's true. It's actually a hunting method. It's so beautiful. How they stretch around, dipping his beak around in the water, just to make sure that they don't miss much. While they do dip their beak in the water, also as they move their legs, we're able to feel whatever will step on, and that's how it catches food. So we're going to carry on, search around since nobody else arrived here. See if we can find something for everybody.
We've came deep into the drainage here to find Mr. Tungana, and he's here. He's just positioned himself in the most difficult of areas, so we're working on it. But for now, we've just came across the most beautiful butterfly. This is what we call a tamboiti thicket. We're right in the middle of it. It's not just tamboitis, there's lots of combretums here too, but it's a really thick, dense area and rather clammy, shall we say. Not so easy to breathe down here, but we've spotted one of the most magnificent butterfly species. I haven't quite got an ID for it yet. But look at that coloration. Oh, it could actually be a moth. Let's take a closer look. Yes, I think this is a moth. See how the wings are positioned facing down and not upright? That's one of the key features of being a moth. And if you look at the antenna, they're completely straight with a blunt tip. There's no club-like end. I think we're looking at a moth here rather than a butterfly. There's lots of crossovers between moths and butterflies. They do belong to the same group called Lepidoptera. However, there are differences, subtle differences. You have to look very closely, but I think we're actually looking at a moth after all. But look at that primary colour palette, red and yellow. Aposematic colouring, probably trying to warn predators, do not eat me. I don't taste good. I am not delicious. It's not going to be worth your time. The Tamboiti thicket in the drainage is a perfect place to find insects. So we're going to try very hard to get round to Mr. Tungana. The kill is almost finished and it's extremely smelly. So hopefully very shortly we will have the Duke of Djuma on screen for you.
Red kid. And as is typical today, all our animals seem to be moving out of the shot from us. That was a wildebeest. You're back at Tswalu with our nice red sands. You can actually see just by the way that the wind's blowing in from the south, which generally doesn't bring us any rain. But just look at those spectacular clouds once again. We've... there was a wildebeest, there was a gemsbok. Let me go forward, Craig. Maybe that wildebeest pops out in the shot there. No. Oh, yes. Oh, the oryx is there now. So we'll just go forward a little bit. Stay with us. So Leanne's asking the question, what is the biggest antelope species we have in Tswalu? Leanne, that would be an eland. Sorry, Craig, I put you on a little bit of a hill there, but the wildebeest is there and the oryx is there. So the eland being the largest, they'll weigh up to close on a ton. And then we also have the second largest antelope being the roan antelope. So we would hope to try and find you both of those. Stay tuned, but keep your questions coming at #WildEarth and then put @FC in front of the question. There's the wildebeest, finally. Thank you, gentlemen. So we're quite far away from him, but the wind is blowing quite strongly, so he is well aware of our presence. So he's just given us a dirty look, shaking his tail. So at the moment, a lot of the wildebeest will be rubbing their faces in the nice red soil as soon as it's been wet, just to adorn themselves and get some nice red coloration all on their face, hoping that the ladies are interested. He's just moving his tail quite vigorously. There's probably quite a few louse flies that are bothering him. It's just so nice to see how green it is at the moment. Last year comparative, at this time of the year, we'd had hardly any rains and everything was red soils. Mindy, you've just commented exactly what I've said. Look how green it is there. It's absolutely amazing. The contrast from this time last year, being at the end of a drought and having hardly any grass cover at all, it's just amazing to see the flowers that have popped up. There's lots of little ones, Craig, if you frame up in the front here, there's lots of little red ones here, the indigophoras. They're really pretty. It's a nice little carpet of them. We've also got some areas where we've got those sort of yellow carpets of devil's thorns. Just really pretty. Just a nice little pink flower. So a little bit windy, so we'll probably find that some of the animals, similar to that wildebeest earlier, will also be a little bit skittish, but he's still standing there. He's now focused his attention on something else. Maybe it's that gemsbok running around in the background. There's a nice yellow bird in this bush in front, Craig. It's a weaver. Can you see him sitting on the tip? The anteating chest has flown past him. There we go. It is indeed a weaver. The ones that will make a little bit too far to get his identification correct, but he looks like a masked weaver. And they'll be collecting these nice little fresh grass stalks at the moment. So they land, they just use their beak like a pair of scissors. They chop off a piece of grass and then they'll fly to an area where they've got a nest where they'll start weaving it into a bowl. So they'll actually use their feet and grab two pieces or two branches together and then weave a circle and then just keep weaving and weaving. And then eventually over a couple of days they would have finished that nest. The gemsbok is to the right of the oryx now. The gemsbok and the oryx is the same thing. He's to the right of the wildebeest now. I don't know. Can you see him? Oh, he's behind the one and only bush. Give me a second. If I move forward for Craig, we shall be able to see the oryx. So when? So Lynn is asking the question, is a wildebeest also known as a gnu? And yes, that is correct, based on the sound that they make. So now I'm going to make a fool out of myself and sound like a wildebeest, but they go gnu, 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 gnu when they start calling and talking to each other. But they've got many vocal sounds. The wildebeest will also snort as well. They'll make quite loud sounds if they see a rival bull in the distance. They'll start snorting, making funny sounds. Gemsbok, exit stage right, is left. We are going to send you to Deirdre, who's got cats slinking through the grass just as our gemsbok has left.
A very welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We have just found 5 sub-adult cheetahs, and they all have very, very fat bellies, and they are kind of slinking through the long grass that's here up ahead of us. There's one just behind this green bush in front of us, and here comes one into our view now from the right hand side. So that's 3 or 4 of them now. There's still one more that's off to the right, and they all have very full bellies. So I think there's a carcass close by. I haven't seen it just yet, but there was a vulture sitting in a tree as well. So I think they are starting to move away from the carcass as it's cooling down a little bit with the wind picking up. My name is Deirdre, and behind the camera we've got the OD. And we are going to follow these cheetahs and see what they get up to. He's quite young, the 5 sub-adults that have been on the show for a little bit. And what we'll do is see if we can find out what they are up to. I think they are quite full of energy with their full bellies. I think I just saw one quickly trot to the left hand side, and they're all moving behind that big bush now, going towards the thicker area to the back. Maybe they'll try and find a nice bigger open grassland area to lie down. I can see them just through the thicket on the left hand side there as they are coming through. Yeah, I think looking at their bellies, how full their bellies are, and the fact that we saw a vulture here in the tree, I think this carcass is maybe starting to smell a little bit, so they'll try and move away to prevent any interaction with other predators or scavengers like hyena or even jackal or anything that will attract attention to them. Just see one's tail flicking through the bushes. Still one that's not come past, or maybe he's already slinked by and we haven't seen him. Marion, you're saying you're glad they have fat bellies. I'm super happy about it too. With these 5 sub-adults kind of being orphans, The fact that they've successfully caught something is awesome, and it is great to see that they are going strong, and the fact that there's 5 of them together is just so good. Seems like they've just started to disappear now. Let's maybe see if we can reposition at some point and see if we can get a view of them. I'm going to see if I can keep on going a little bit forward, and we'll keep an eye out for that last one that we haven't seen yet. Right, I'm going to take it nice and slow. With them moving away from this carcass, because they're close to this carcass, maybe they're a little bit skittish or so. But while we look and see if we can get another view of them, we're going to send you over to Djuma with the elephant.
So cool having Cheetah on a spot. Now we got a beautiful, looks like a bull elephant coming out of there. As you can see how big it is. It's all the size of a full-grown male elephant. And it looks like it's more of them that are making a lot of noises in the bush. And there's one of the young one that's coming out. It's probably one of the female. Wet. It looks like she's got a baby there with her. They've probably been in one of these mud all around here. It's very soaking wet. Like she's heading straight towards us. The male is going to hold off back there. This young one still feeds under mother's belly across whenever, so still quite young, maybe a few weeks old. And it's so cool that baby's gaining a shadow from the mother by posing right underneath of her. Yeah, so all little things is maybe 2 weeks old, somewhere there. Still a very soft animal. It's a young animal. And the mother is pushing too much to move. The Kellys are asking how many such a teeth, I understand. So they grow about 26 of them. Those would be able to support elephants' lifespan. And they use them quite often, you know, without these molar teeth, and there's nothing, there's no life. They need a teeth to grind, to actually able to chew these wood, grasses. Comes in a time when these tooth molars wind up or weren't able to allow elephant to feed. Is when the results of die, the starvations, especially when they're old. Try reposition here. Just gonna get a look, another look. Looks like she's loving the grasses around here, which is so cool. There's plenty of grass this time of year. Animals like elephants, they aren't actually suffering from finding food around. So the weight that MJ, so he's saying this is the tiniest baby ever seen. Yeah, especially when they're a week or 2 weeks old, they're a tiny, tiny little thing. You can see how this baby is still fitting underneath of the mother. Would walk across in and out in a time. And when they're a month or 2 months older, then they won't able to do that because then they're slightly higher up in size. In this age, it becomes kind of like very much vulnerable to predators if this young one ever abandoned by the mother. Hyena still take that thing down, but not when the mother's around, which is cool, the mother's there. So I'm gonna stay put around here, see if there's probably more of a group that will join in this area. If not, then I'm gonna go search for anything else.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
An ever-increasing part of the global population is losing its connection with nature. WildEarth is here to reduce people's stress and anxiety, allowing you to escape into nature even just for a few hours a day. However, WildEarth is expensive to run, and we need help from you to keep this ship going. WildEarth Explorers gives you the opportunity to be part of a program that supports the sharing of nature with the world. Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
So we've looped around these thickets, and we actually found all of them coming and lying down in the shade. It's a little bit cloudy now, so it's not too sunny, but all 5 of them are actually in front of us, these 5 sub-adults. So the one definitely snuck past us without us even noticing, or maybe we were just struggling to count as they were slinking through the long grass or so. But have a look at the fat bellies that they've got. So big. Reminds me almost of cartoons where they swallow like a whole pumpkin, and they're like in the shape of a pumpkin, or a whole block of cheese and they're in the shape of a block of cheese. Lady was just making a joke earlier, like this one maybe swallowed the whole set of horns of a Ngala or so, whatever they were feeding on, with that the bulge being such a weird and funny shape on her stomach there. But you can see how they're panting, those full bellies and all this digestion, producing a lot of heat, really short and fast breathing, trying to spread themselves out as much as possible to try and cool down. And look at this tail, it's just flicking away, trying to trace the insects, the biting insect off of them. Oh, this wind, and I'm sure you can see the bushes moving is nice and cool. Victor, you are asking at what age we start calling cheetahs sub-adults. I think it's probably when they start to show a lot more interest in hunting, and they're not too reliant on their mothers anymore. I think these 5, because they got orphaned, they were called sub-adults a little bit earlier than most. But I think the fact that they had starting to work on their own independence, that's probably when you start calling them sub-adults. So probably from about a year, closer to a year and a half, around there. And look at them sitting up a little bit, just looking around a bit as the wind comes over them. So there's constantly at least 2 or 3 of them that's looking around, being very aware of their surroundings as well. Stuck in bed, you are asking if this is the largest group of cheetahs that I've seen. Personally, I've seen a little bit more. There's a small reserve, municipal reserve, just outside Pretoria called Dragonfly Nature Reserve. And the one year there was a female cheetah that had 6 cubs, and I saw all of them together. So 7 cheetahs together. But I think there's been a few cases where there's been 6 cubs or so. So it's uncommon, but it's not too uncommon. It happens every now and then. So these sub-adults, they also had another sibling, but unfortunately lost its life to lions, like their mother. But nonetheless, it's so awesome seeing 5 cheetahs. I mean, it's quite something calling in almost a herd or a pride of cheetahs on the radio to the other rangers. Not something you get to do every day. But I think we are going to send you over to Tswalu, where they've got some other animal with a collar on.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Tswalu. So we found who we're looking for, and just as we got here, these 2 tiny little black bundles of joy ran away and hid in the hole. So we have seen them. There are 2 cubs. So first time on air from Tswalu is 2 little spotted hyena cubs. That's Mum. And yesterday she brought them what's left of the lunch. So they managed to kill that kudu. She's actually quite a large hyena. She's very successful. What is it today with our animals? It's just disappearing. We'll try and move around for another shot. But you can see the remains of the kudu carcass that she dragged here, that they killed probably a few days ago. And she's a very successful hunter, this female. She pulled down that kudu pretty much on her own. And then her and there's another hyena around, we haven't seen it yet, as part of her clan, and they fed on it, and now she's dragged it back to the den. So we're just going to reposition. The cubs are still literally 2 to 3 weeks old, so they're at the stage, they're about this big. 2 solid black little critters. We saw them outside, and they ran down the hole, but for them, this is only about the 3rd or 4th time seeing a vehicle, so we're just going to be slow. We're going to stay here, and then hopefully we'll be able to put them on air later. Maybe she brings them out to suckle them, but we're in that stage where they're still learning about the vehicles just as much as we're starting to approach the den. So we're gonna move up. She's sitting up again there, but we're going to just move into a different position. Maybe we get a view down the hole. So she's chosen what looks like probably an old hole dug from an aardvark. Bit of a random place, but we never know why these animals choose what they choose. She's chosen literally just a mound in the middle of a massive open clearing. So we don't get the big termite mounds here like you're seeing with where Corky and Ribbon and Djuma stay. We just that's not a bad den. Craig, just let me know there if that's good for you. I'm just going to stop here. You can actually see how full her teats are as well, because she's still full with milk. But I mean, it is a little bit of a random place relative to where we've seen other hyena. So Russ has commented she is very dark in coloration. Personally, I'd say she's probably just very dirty. She's probably still got some blood from the carcass rolling around in the sand, but she is quite dark. But a really big female, this. Come on, show us your little pups. Oh, good scratch. So this is, for us, this is her first, there we go, you can see. This is her first set of cubs. Maybe if she settles down again, the pups will follow her out. Cubs, I should call them cubs. She's going to go and move to the shade. So they won't do too much modification. I mean, this aardvark burrow will be nice. She probably just made it more her size. And then they'll generally have the cubs themselves will actually sort of dig shelves and little holes to hide away from other predators inside the hole itself. So the mother doesn't always go inside the hole. Very often she's too big for that. She'll actually call them out the hole in order to suckle them. So she probably was suckling them just before we got here. And that's why they've gone back down. So hopefully not to go and have a snooze. She's having a... So all the moms that have ever had twins, they recognize that. Take every moment of downtime you can if you've got 2. Oh. Real tired mum. There's actually not that much left on the carcass at all. I don't even know. She's like chewy bits there. That's all that they've got. So that hyena's lying in the shade. We're going to send you across to Lauren, who's got some animals in the shade. We're going to stand by here.
Our elephants are moving off very, very fast. I'm hoping not sure we're going to get a good view of these Ellies, that they were heading to Treehouse Dam. But I don't think they are now. We're on that road, one of my favourite roads, the Hyena Den Road, talking of hyenas. And I thought they were going to go all the way to the dam for a drink, which would be lovely. But they've not. They've changed their trajectory. They're not wet. Normally you can tell if elephants have been swimming or have been at the dam. They've normally got big wet patches, or they're completely wet, much darker in colour. Why are you not going to the dam, everyone? I'm in the mood for a pool party today. There is nothing quite like it. Elephants at the dam. Now, just an update on Tingana before I forget. He was there. We saw him pop his head up. But after that, the visual is what you would call a big fat 0 out of 5. Not even 1 out of 5, 0. So I think it's better to come back to Tingana. The kill's still hoisted, but there's not a lot of meat left. It's very smelly. But I think it's better to come back to him when it's not so hot, and the visual might increase to at least 2 out of 5. But 0 is no fun. There was also a leopard cub called in on Cheetah this morning. Bit of confusion whose cub it was, but that's okay because we're going to investigate. We're going to go south. Cheetah was a beautiful dam anyway, and try and find out who the cub was and if we can find it. So they're definitely not going to Treehouse Dam, but that doesn't mean there's not another herd here. We're going to bumble towards the dam. And for now, we're going to send you across to Taylor to say good afternoon.
And at the moment, we are just enjoying the scenery, but there is something that is in the tree, in that knobthorn, which you may have got a glimpse of this morning. It is an impala carcass that is very well camouflaged in between the branches, and we are waiting patiently in the shade of another knobthorn tree to hopefully get a view of the leopard that made this kill. But we're just going to wait patiently. Hello everybody, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we are sitting here at Pridelands, which is part of Tswalu Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park. Now, I believe from what happened this morning is that Mike and Gert had heard impala alarming and snorting and all sorts of things, and they responded, and they were also on fresh tracks of a female leopard, and then they managed to come across this carcass, which is up in a tree. Now, I'm not sure if the carcass has been fed on anymore. It was left unattended for a couple of hours between game drives, but then someone did come out and sit with it to see if this cat would come back. But it sounds like if the cat wanted to come back, it had to navigate its way through a herd of elephants. And at one point, the person that was sitting here said that the elephants were trumpeting quite a bit, so they suspected that the leopard must have been chased. But some of the carcass has been fed on, so that's quite interesting. But it is just a little impala, with the tracks that Mike said it being a female, although there were other accounts that someone had a brief glimpse of it and said it could have been a male. We're uncertain as to which leopard it could be. We are in the core of Pixie Pan's territory, which is probably our most resident female leopard that we've seen on a number of different occasions. However, there are quite a few other male leopards and females running around too. For example, just a few days ago we had a fantastic sighting of a youngish male leopard up in a marula tree, and thanks to James Richard, he helped actually sort of find out who this cat is. I don't think this cat has a name, however. I'm still going to do some more investigating, but he has been seen on Jajani, which is another wilderness area just to the north of us, and he might be in that stage where he's just trying to settle somewhere, so he's moving around quite a bit. Terry, you've asked why aren't there any vultures around? Now, we'll probably find that this carcass is actually very well concealed in that tree. You can see there are quite a few green leaves there, and because it looks like a young impala lamb, it's not really obvious to any vultures. There's also no strong scent because it's a very fresh carcass, and from what I've seen in the Sabi sand especially, and also in Kruger areas, is that when the carcasses are put up in trees that have got leaves around them, the vultures don't tend to see them. If this carcass was down on the ground, but although it's summer, it's really, really hot, you know, the carcass is going to decay a lot quicker, it's going to draw some unnecessary attention. So very easy for a leopard to hoist a young impala lamb up in a tree almost effortlessly. I mean, we've seen them take up rather large prey, so something so small wouldn't be too hard. So I don't think we'll see any vultures at all, in fact. And I haven't seen many flying around either, just occasionally in the early mornings as they're up to catch thermals and then off they go. But yeah, I mean, we've had rather large kills, like we had the giraffe carcass on Quenga, which was very interesting. There, of course, lots of attention was drawn. The carcass was out in the open, easy for the vultures to kind of spot, and then with them littered across the trees, it just brought more and more vultures in. But something like this, we're probably not going to see anything. Maybe some hyenas will come around later on as the scent starts to spread about. We often see hyenas around and in this area, so it does form it's a popular sort of route. But I think we'll sit patiently for a little bit longer, hopefully that this leopard, whoever it may be, will come out and feast up in the tree. But off you go across to Phinda with the cheetahs, who, well, it seems as though they've devoured the carcass they were feeding on.
So these cheetahs have just started moving around a little bit underneath these bushes to try and get out of the sun that's just come out behind the clouds. So these cheetahs, like you've been discussing about the leopard, like hoisting the kill in the tree, would not do that. They would rather keep their prey on the ground and feed on it as quickly as they can, because these 5 subadults or any other cheetahs are very vulnerable to other predators and scavengers, so they'll try and feed as much as they can as quickly as possible and then try and get away from the carcass and move away like we've seen this afternoon. And they will try and move away from the carcass even when it starts smelling. So interesting, like the leopard would stay with the carcass even when it's getting rotten and starts smelling and still keep feeding on it. With these 5 subadult cheetahs, I think they actually killed the whatever it was yesterday, and obviously now it's done, so starting to move away from it already. And with it being so hot here today, they are moving away from it already. Just to give you an idea, on my watch it says that it's 36 degrees at the moment, so no wonder they're moving away from the carcass and moving into the shade. But this breeze that's coming over is just divine. Wow. And I'm sure they are enjoying it underneath these bushes as well. Magic Dragon Wizard, wow, what a name. You are asking how long these cheetahs will stay together. So Odie and I was actually discussing this a little bit earlier, and it depends on how many of them are male and how many are female. And I think Odie said he thinks that there's 3 males and 2 females. I'm yet to see for myself, but I trust him. He said that so with the males, they'll stay together their whole lives and they'll form a coalition, and that is just a better chance of them holding on to territories and being able to hold on to territories and fight for females over other males, and also help each other hunt, where the 2 females, they'll move away from each other and form their own home ranges and fend for themselves. And it will probably happen within the next 6 months, or 3 to 6 months or so, when these females start to go into their first estrus and they start growing up. So around a year and a half is when they leave their mother, if they don't get orphaned like these 2 did. But then from there, it's usually a month or 2 that they'll stick together and then they'll go their separate ways. So who knows? It will be quite interesting to see with these specific cheetahs being so unusual in their situation, and to see what time they'll leave each other and everything. and I'm sure we are going to try and keep them on camera as long as we possibly can over the next couple of months, and see if we can follow their lives and see what they do. Be very interesting to see. I just saw one or two get up and move off to the left, and I've lost view of them. So they might have moved off into some thicker shade. Maybe they were catching a few blobs of light. There's some other vehicles that have joined us in the sighting now as well. But looking at them, they're not really falling asleep, and I think it's quite a dense area that they're in, so they'd be very, very aware of what's going on around them. David, you're asking if these cheetahs will try to find water after eating so much and also after this heat. So these 5 cheetahs, I think they are not too far away from some puddles of water. So there's a possibility that they might actually look for some water. But with cheetah, sometimes they don't even need to drink because they'll get some moisture from the carcass that they feed on. Also, they're actually animals that adapt to arid areas very well. But if water is available to them, like to these, there's a good chance they might actually go and look for some water. But it's difficult to say. Like I said, they can go without drinking, so we'll see. But I think we are going to leave these cheetahs while they are sleeping in the shade and while they're not up to anything at the moment. And we'll maybe go and see if we can go look at some watering holes that's around the corner. And maybe we'll come back a little bit later. Who knows?
Very close proximity. I know you've already seen one today already, but when you get visuals like this, it's impossible to resist. Now, the adult phase that they're in right now, I don't actually know why I'm whispering, but I'm going to keep whispering for some reason. The adult phase is all about reproduction. It's all about the males seeking the females, mating with as many females as he can, and the females laying lots of eggs for the next generation. It's not easy for them to mate. They've got a really segmented body. As you can see, you see the segments on the abdomen, and the genitalia are positioned at different locations on the male and the female. So it makes it very, very difficult for them. But once they've finished mating, the male will actually cling onto the female, stay attached to her, even though copulation is finished, in order to assist with the egg laying. So she's laying the eggs, he's assisting, and he's also making sure that no other dragonfly male comes along and scrapes out his sperm. That's sperm competition right there. And it's remarkable that the males know that other males do that, so they guard her, they follow her after mating, and then after egg laying. They're fiercely protective over their females. Then once the females are finished, he just leaves her just like that, and he goes off to recuperate, eat, and then find more females. And that's the life of an adult dragonfly, one of the most fierce predators in the form of those little insects.
We're just having a look here at what the hyena sees on her doorstep. So literally, if she just scans around the plains, there's a wildebeest over there, which may be a little bit too big out of her league. And the giraffe feeding on the camelthorn trees, definitely out of her league. and then the classic red sand dunes of the Kalahari, and those very dark blue ominous clouds. The wind has picked up quite a lot since we've been sitting here, and that is coming, so we probably going to start making our way away from that. But just look at the view on her doorstep. It's just absolutely stunning. So Mum is still here, Mum Hyena. She's just passed out, and the cubs haven't come out yet, so we're probably going to move on, and we'll try and see if we can follow up on them tomorrow at some point, because it is very, very windy at the moment. So she'll be paying attention to what she can smell. There were also some springbok around a little bit earlier, and she's not too bothered by all of those. Stuck in Bed is asking the question, are these hyena endangered? So the spotted hyena is not endangered. They're actually very successful carnivores right across Africa, and some of their clans can be quite large. In the Kalahari, they're tending to be relatively small clans. Most of ours are sort of 2 to 3 individuals in a clan, but up in East Africa, you're having sort of 14, sometimes even up to 20 or 30 in a clan. So spotted hyena not classified as endangered. The brown hyena, which we also get here at Tswalu, is rarer, but also not necessarily in the endangered category. I think probably one of the ones that I would say might be more endangered, but I sort of off the top of my head would be the striped hyena. You'll have to Google that one, because I don't think any one of certainly none of the Southern African properties can show you that one, and that one might be more of an endangered species, the striped hyena. Oh, but she's just enjoying her nap time. So we haven't seen any activity from the cubs at all. We're going to move on, try and avoid this storm that's coming in, and head to the lighter, bluer skies in the south of the reserve. And we'll follow up on her tomorrow and see, maybe we're lucky the little cubs come out. She's got quite a nice view on her doorstep. It's not bad at all. We can hear lots and lots of wattled starlings. They're busy in all of these trees. There's just wattled starling nests. I don't know, see if I can find one for you, Craig. Maybe, the nests are in all of these trees. They're just really, really messy clumps of sticks. There's a wattled starling on that first bush there. So we're going to see, there's a couple in that little tree, but we're going to send you over to Lauren, who's also got spotted some nests.
All our weavers just up, Davy, look. Wow, they all just aborted the nests. They were all on it. I'm sure you heard them. And then something happened. And they all just flew up into the air all together, making a different call. It was almost like an alarm call, an aborted mission. I really have no idea what happened. I don't see any imminent threat. But then I'm not a weaver. I would like to be, but I'm not. And here they are, all perched up extremely high, far from their nests. And they're diurnal weavers. This is not common for them to take rests like this, and they're competitors. It's also not common for them all just to hang out like this. Something scared them. They're obviously aware of something we are not, but look at all the nests. A lot of them are drying out in the sun. The drier ones are, of course, the older ones. The greener ones are the fresher ones. And you can see they're all at different stages. Some are probably abandoned and discarded. Some may have females inside. Some may be unfinished, in progress. They have similar shapes, and yet they're all different. This one looks like a work in progress to me. Lila, it all depends. It depends on the success of the nest. And they are said to make around sort of 50 nests in one breeding season. On average, they can construct one nest in a day, 12 hours. But 12 hours is a long period of time, so it can take a number of days. And it depends if the female is interested in it or not. If she decides, I don't like this, this is not the nest for me, I am not impressed, then she will just leave it. And after a few days, the males will understand that this nest has not been successful. So either she tears it down, which is rather sad, or he tears it down because he understands that no female is going to choose his nest, and then he starts again. So it really just depends if a female chooses it, if it's successful, but they are continually making nests. So if they construct a nest in a day or two, and they get a female, they would just start making a new nest very shortly after. They're not monogamous. The more nests the males create, the more females they can mate with and the more offspring they can have. So win-win. So although comes at a great cost, it's not energetically free to create these nests. It's not simple. The fitness benefit far outweighs the costs, and that's exactly why they do it. They get great benefits from building these nests and attracting the females. Leopard lover, I'm not sure. I've never looked at a nest that's in the tree. We find them in the water, discarded very often, so that's where we're able to pull them out and sort of show you how intricate they are. But I would imagine insects do utilize trees. So I would imagine they would also utilize the discarded nests, but for food, not so much. But maybe just to seek a little microhabitat, but I'm actually not sure. This nest is impossible for us to access. We only really get to access it when it's winter time and the dams dried up and all activities dried up. Summer's ended. It's always quite sad when summer comes to an end. It gets very silent out here. What do you see, Davi?
What do you think of that one?
What do I think of this nest? I think it's beautiful. If I was a weaver, I would absolutely choose that nest. They're designed in such a way that they can hold the bird's body weight as well as the eggs. They avoid parasites, and it creates a little microclimate inside, temperature controlled, safe, strong enough against weather and any sort of environmental conditions that may be presented. We get a lot of storms during summer. But I would definitely choose that one if I was a female weaver. Imagine being a female, having to make that choice. All these men, all these males are presenting nests to you, and they're all fabulous. Haley, believe it or not, the ones that are tied on very, very tightly, if we don't have too many bad storms, you'll see them all throughout the winter, and they'll be here for summer. They do biodegrade, of course. It's just grass, so grass will dry out, and due to weathering, they will biodegrade. They'll end up breaking down, and they'll fall onto the ground. But if the weather's not been too severe, you can find they just hang there, dried out, empty, all year round. I'm just so happy the weavers are back. It took a long time for them to come back. They only sort of arrived to this pan the week of Christmas. It's far too silent and empty at this pan during winter. And this is one of the best pans as well to find dragonflies, damselflies, birds. It's a really successful pan. It's worth spending a little bit of time here. TaylorMade, you're asking, do the females mate with more than one male? That will all depend on their sort of breeding strategy. And The males will definitely mate with many females, as I mentioned. It's said in one breeding season he can actually mate with 12 females successively, which is incredible. But I'm not actually sure about the female. It will depend on how long, what the incubation period is for the eggs, which I'm just checking right now. So it's a 2-week incubation period. And I'm just checking the development of the chicks. For the southern mast, there's lots of different weaver species here. We normally get the southern mast and the village. Sometimes you'll see them lesser masked as well. Yes, the female can have multiple clutches in one breeding season. There you go. So yes, she will mate with different males, but it will be nowhere near as many males as the males will mate with females. So from this little pan, we're going to bumble on to our waterhole, but I believe Andrew is at a waterhole of his own.
Cool, so we now here. Also at the dam. But around this dam, nothing to offer so much this afternoon. It's probably because it's a lot of these watering holes. We find out that animals all spread around, doing drinks, somewhere different watering hole. Here we've got an Egyptian geese. Looks like only one at the moment, where often there are a pair of them, male and a female. So it happened, there's a separation happened between. It's wandering around there. Egyptian geese, they love being in the water, but they are vegetarian. They eat sorts of grasses, shoots of grasses, green, soft plants as well. Maybe it happens that he or she is single. Male and a female all look the same. Only different sound they make. And you also find them only not in the water, only, but also you find them far in the land. Female should do most of the sound, like very much honking sound, and the male would do hissing sound, like a deep breath or a very harsh. Use the presence of water, be here, cooling off, searching for any green algae as well. They will feed on those. Become vulnerable to crocodile if there isn't a crocodile, but I don't think so. So I'm going to carry on search here. I'm going to be sending you across to Waterhole.
So our tall animal is indeed a giraffe, and we got a view of him earlier, and he was walking with a goal in mind, getting to a certain spot, but all of a sudden he's just stopped, and he has literally not moved a muscle for at least a minute or two now, and you can see how he is staring at a very specific spot. So Odie and I came into this area to look for two lionesses that was apparently seen around here this morning, and the way that he is staring at the moment makes me think that maybe there is something lying in the shade to where he is looking. There's a few trees there or so. Look at that, he's like a statue. The only way to know that he's not a statue is you can see his tail blowing in the wind. But he has not moved at all. I'm actually going to see if I can stand on my seat and have a look through the binoculars. Oh, he's starting to move now. He's lost interest. So maybe whatever was catching his attention turns out to be nothing. If it was a predator or so, he would probably have moved a bit further away after realizing what it is. But look now, he's staring straight ahead of him as well. I wonder if this wind that's blowing over us maybe is carrying some scent. And maybe that's something that's catching his attention, is maybe the scent of the lions that are around here. There was some impalas and nyalas around as well. So I don't know if that's maybe something that's catching his attention. Because he's not even chewing the cud. So definitely staring at something. And it's just a lone bull that's by himself. I wonder if he was coming into this area to look for other giraffes. We saw some other giraffes far in the distance as we came past here earlier. Listening if we can maybe hear an alarm call as well. They'd give like a snorting sound if they see predators, but no. Tristan, I think you're asking why male giraffes are solitary. They're actually not often solitary. They kind of have very loose social structures, and they'll move away and come together again. It's often the old bulls that you see by themselves. Often the dominant bulls that constantly fight with the other bulls. But they, like this one, I think he's looking for the rest of the herds that are around here. So they are often solitary by moving between groups of females, and that's often why we see them by themselves. But he is moving away now. He's actually changed direction quite a bit. He's heading towards where we saw some impalas. Maybe he's looking for some companionship there. He keeps on staring to the right hand side there, but we came from there, so we know there's nothing there, unless we drove past this massive open area and we both being in conversation, Odie and I, maybe we must have missed something, but I don't think so. He's just keeping on walking. I think maybe he spotted the rest of the giraffes in distance. But that vantage point that he's got up there, I often see things way before we do. Quite nice to see a giraffe out in the open clearings like this. Yeah, now he's definitely looking in the direction of where we saw some impalas earlier. This wind coming over is nice and cool. And you can see he's actually staring in the direction that the wind is coming from. So every time the wind picks up like this, he's stopping. So smelling and making sure what he's smelling also. He's getting quite far away. I have to look through my binoculars now. Nocturnal by Nature, you're saying giraffe are such a lovely sight. Yes, they are, and some of the most beautiful and unique animals to ever see, right? How is... we actually joked around about this with some other guests the other day. How is it possible that evolution allowed something like a giraffe to be... to develop and evolutionize, if that's the right word, but a horse without a horn? How is unicorns not a thing, but a giraffe is a thing? But in any case, they are awesome to see, and love taking photos of them, especially when they're out in the open. But this one's not really playing with us. He's moving away, and we are going to lose him soon as he moves down into the clearing there in the back between the taller trees. Maybe he's looking for something to eat now. Oh. For a moment I thought he was scratching himself on that dead tree there, but it's just the distance that is a little bit weird. But he has moved off. See this beautiful clearing here next to us, but we might see if we can maybe keep on going, see if we can go and look for those lionesses. So we're going to head down the road here behind me, and we're going to see if we can maybe track them down. It was a very hot day, so hopefully they are still lying down in the shade where the people left them. But we're going to head down the road, and we'll keep on looking for their tracks as well. It's nice and sandy, and then we'll maybe get back to you a little bit later on, hopefully with the lions.
The croc is still holding another one there. It's holding from the hindquarters. I would really want. The wildebeest cross is trying. The croc is holding the tail. It's holding tight. Oh no. Goodness me. Lucky wildebeest. You have another day to live.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and I'm coming to you from eco training here on Pridelands. My most favorite animal in Africa has to be the elephant that's behind me, and this is Kumo, you'll meet him. But elephants just in general, they're really sociable, they're always doing something, and I love to see the interactions between the members of the herd.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique WildEarth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with WildEarth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all WildEarth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Now we got a bird over here, dove, a capped turtle dove. And these are the ones that sometimes bring these beautiful calls early in the morning. And they're out here. Call them wake harder bird. We're somewhere else. Drink lager, drink lager. Not far from here, it's a little bit of a puddle of water. It's probably about to go down drink. Little dove there, pair for life. A male and a female. Looks like we were with the male and the female on the left there. But it's too shadow. Printing, which all birds do that. Printing, although a parasite. And they eat grass seeds. No, there's no such a communication they're making there. It's just because of they're all just two of them. Nobody missing. So I'm still doing my search here. I'm going to be sending you across to Tswalu with some impressive animal.
Look what we've got there, little baby gemsbok. So it is quite cute to see them. There's actually 3 youngsters in there, but they're of different colours. Oh, of course, they're going behind that bush. I don't know what it is with animals today. Let me go forward, Craig, and we'll see if we can frame up again. So there is 4 adults there and 3 youngsters, but one of the youngsters is about 6 months old, and then the other 2 are probably about 3 months. They're just showing their horns, and they're much sort of lighter brown in colour. I'm just trying to see if that's good for you, Craig. It's a little bit challenging. There's the odd bush in the way, but it is just nice to see for us, little gemsbok. They generally have them going according to sort of seasonal rains. So it's about an 8-month gestation period. So we're starting to see lots of the young gemsbok calves coming out now. They're generally hidden for at least the first 3 to 6 weeks before they start moving with the adults. Sometimes also in like a little bit of a nursery group. So there you can see the lighter brown color on the smaller ones, and then as they get slightly older they take on more of the adult coloration, and that lighter brown would just help them when they lying down in the grasses. They almost look like a stone, or they'll be well hidden. No, don't walk out the shot, and there goes our gemsbok. Oh well, we're still aiming to head south. We're just going to keep driving down towards the Karannaberg. Just look at the beautiful mountains there, where there's a little bit more blue sky down south. Definitely some heavy blue clouds behind us still. We're going to head south. Riley's asking the question, how long can gemsbok horns grow? So the record is 1.25 centimeters, so that's over a meter, and the female's horns are actually longer than the male's horns, which is quite unusual in antelope. Generally the male's horns, they're thicker, and then they go wider out, and then the female's much longer and thinner and straight up. But sort of 1.25 meters is quite a long length of horn that they can get. And that's actually their tracks going down the road. So a nice little gemsbok has walked all the way down the road. There's his tracks. Walking down the road's much easier. You get nothing between your toes. Much easier to get from A to B by walking down the road, but they don't all do it. Keep sending your questions to #WildEarth. Oh, Craig, we've got a beautiful rainbow. We're going to send you a...
So we found these 2 lionesses, and it was all thanks to a lot of animals that were standing and staring and alarm calling. As we came around the corner, Odie and I spotted some impalas that were just looking and standing with their necks stretched out. There you can see them just in the distance, and a wildebeest as well, and they were all alarm calling in this direction, and just seeing their positioning of their bodies and how they were looking, you can see there's actually one of them that is looking this direction. They were all alarm calling, and immediately we thought, okay, there must be something there. And then as we came around the corner, Odie was like, there's something there, and we found these 2 lionesses, and it looks like 2 adult lionesses actually, and it is quite interesting seeing them right out in the open like this. They are panting quite a bit, and I think that it is nice and hot still, but there's a very cool wind that's blowing over us that I think has caused them to maybe come out into the open clearing here. And I wonder if that wildebeest and these impalas, there were some zebras earlier that was maybe a bit closer to these thickets, and I think these thickets off to the left-hand side that you might not be able to see, they were actually the ones that they were sleeping under, and I wonder if they tried to hunt some of these animals but was unsuccessful, and that's why they're out in the open now, trying to catch their breaths. You can see they are breathing quite heavily and panting quite a bit. You're quite busy on Phinda today. Got some cheetahs earlier, that giraffe, and not even a couple of 100 meters away from the giraffe we found these 2 lionesses. Oh, the one lioness is up. A bit of a stretch. And a bit of interaction there. Oh, and peeing right in front of the lioness. My goodness. Talk about personal space. Let's see if we can identify these individuals and see from which pride they are. But, just thinking of the area that they're in, they are probably from the mountain pride here on Phinda, because this is very far in their territory. That lioness that just got up and that just lied down now again. Looking at her face, she looks like one of the younger lionesses. Still, I think these 2 are actually siblings. Looking at their size, they look very similar in size as well. Obviously, it will we'll only be able to tell once both of them stand up. Bridget on Phinda, you're asking how many lion prides we have. So we have actually 3 prides, maybe with 1 or 2 females that's breaking away from 1 or 2 prides trying to form their own, but we'll see, only time will tell. And it's the Bayala pride in the southwestern sector, and then we've got the mountain pride, and then far in the north of the reserve, close towards the very special sand forest that we've got here, there is another pride of lions up there as well. Look at these, the female that just got up earlier, she's staring quite intently towards those impalas, but obviously being out in the open like this, there's absolutely no chance she'll be able to catch one of them. Look at this other one just repositioning a little bit. I'm so glad that we found them at this time because they're nice and active and sitting upright and looking at those impalas. Often when it's warm like this, I'm sure you know lions like to sleep. So seeing these two females nice and up, and obviously they're panting a lot, not moving around too much, but nice to see them with their heads up. Just looking at their faces, not a lot of scars or so on their faces, and also just looking at their muzzles, it's big but not as big as some of the older lionesses in this pride. So I think these two are two young females that are actually adults already, but they are two sisters if I'm not wrong. Obviously it's very difficult to say when all the lions start growing up, because then you have to really look for really different scars and so on their faces. Look at this one, panting and looking towards us. But for now, while these lionesses are not doing anything, we're going to send you over to Andrew. That's got something lovely to listen to.
Alright, we're at the dam now. So I'm going to be doing a silent segment here at the dam.
We've just repositioned a little bit. Oh, there's a bit of a yawn from the one lioness there. We repositioned because this lighting is just becoming incredible, and them repositioning a bit to see if Odie and I can capture some photos of them. The one on the left just yawned a bit, and obviously with them sitting upright like this, there is another yawn there from the one on the left. I think she might get up soon, so I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I'm sure you have. With big cats, especially lions, like these two females, she's yawning there to kind of oxygenate her muscles and her brain, and to get ready to maybe get up or so. Let's see, they are panting very heavily. Still quite warm, but they've got nice full bellies, and I think that's maybe why they are panting so much. Like those cheetahs we saw earlier, a lot of digestion happening at the moment, so a lot of heat from that. Just looking through my camera now, see how long those teeth are, looking side on to them. Their mouths are open like that. Those bottom teeth are so long. This light is just perfect on them at the moment. Amy, you're asking if lions are always near their prey. Well, it's quite a difficult question to answer, because they stay in the area where their prey is, because obviously they need to survive by eating and catching the prey animals, but they are not necessarily really close like this, because the animals will try and move away from the lions if they do know that they're there. But lions tend to hang around in certain areas where there is prey animals around for them to feed on or so. And they do move around with the herds of animals or so. But they need to patrol their territories as well. So they might not necessarily be in an area for prey, but also for territorial reasons, meeting up with males, going and finding the rest of the pride, or even for water. But they rely, I think, on animals just being everywhere in general. Look at this lioness just picking her head up and I think smelling the air a little bit. The impalas and the wildebeest just feeding off in the distance just catches her attention every now and then. Let's see if we can get a photo when she turns her head back this way. They are so beautiful. Look at those hazel brown eyes. Usually their eyes are very yellow, but with this light at the moment, they actually look a little bit brown. Dolly, you're asking what the lions in Phinda usually feed on. So it's a very good question, because lions in different areas obviously hunt different prey species or what is available to them. For example, in the Sabi sands, in the dry months, the lions can go for animals that will hang around specific watering holes more often. Maybe they'll hunt buffalo more often. I don't really know. But here on Phinda, there is a lot of Ngala around. And this particular area of South Africa is really, really well known for its Ngala population, and Phinda especially. The Ngala density is very, very high, and I think that's probably one of their main sources of food. But they've got quite a varied diet. Apart from the Ngalas, they hunt wildebeest, zebras, really anything they can find. Lots of warthog, but something like buffalo very rarely get hunted on Phinda. But something that this particular pride that these two lionesses are from have kind of mastered a bit is actually going for giraffe. So every now and then you'll see them on giraffe carcasses, especially if the two male lions that's in control of this pride comes and joins them. So lioness on the left just lying down flat now. It's cooling down so quickly. It's so nice with the sun getting closer and closer to some clouds. Oh, this one looks like she's also going to lie down, just repositioning a little bit. See how she's just licking her lips a little bit? I wonder if she wants to give a yawn. Oh, no, just starting to pant again. So even though there's cool wind blowing over us and it feels very pleasant for us at the moment, that those full stomachs is producing a lot of heat, and that's why they keep on panting like this. I love how it almost looks like they bobbing their heads up and down to some music when they're panting like this, especially the one on the right hand side there. I'm very keen to actually stay with these two lionesses to see what they do, because with their full bellies they might not be too interested in hunting, but the wildebeest and the impalas have kind of forgotten about them, and the wind is blowing the scent of the lions away from them. So I think once these lionesses see that these impalas and wildebeests have kind of moved to a better spot for them to maybe get an opportunity to hunt, then we might see something. But we'll see. Let's stick around for a little bit and we'll see what they get up to. See the second lioness on the left hand side also started looking at the wildebeest, and you can see the impalas and wildebeests are just feeding and have got their heads down. See that beautiful light coming onto the lions now, as the sun's just moving in between some clouds, and so interesting that these two lionesses are by themselves. Earlier we saw a few spots on the one's stomach, saying that she's maybe a little not too old. I haven't seen these two lionesses for a while. I think they might have been some subadults that was with one of the older lioness, but I haven't seen them in such a long time. They've grown up so much. I think these might be the two subadult females that have now grown up completely, which is incredible. Wow, they grow so fast, and the fact that they're themselves means they're hunting by themselves as well. Jensen, you're asking why we see female lions more than we see male lions. So that's a very good question, because with lionesses, they are obviously staying in their territory. With the male lions on Phinda, they actually move between females, prides of females, and it's very difficult to keep a tab on them and keep an eye on them all the time, because they often move long distances, and they might be in one spot the next day they might be gone in a completely different area of the reserve. So I think also, just talking about lions in general, male lions are obviously, there's only one or two of them together, or maybe a coalition of a few males in a pride, but when they are nomadic or solitary, then obviously it's very difficult to keep an eye on them as well, because they have to try and avoid other lions, and they might move between territories very sporadically. And male lions often, after getting kicked out of a pride of females, when they get old, they often don't survive very long. It's very rare to see big old males by themselves, and when you do, it's often you see them for a little bit and then they're gone. So it's just the way that the social structure works for lions, that you see females just more often than males. And you'll often see the males just when they're young and still with the prides, and once they get kicked out, they need to move away and get away from the prides, otherwise they'll be competing with the prides for food, and obviously they'll get killed by male lions, by the dominant males. So, very good question, and don't really think about it too much, but yes, it does make sense why we see females more often than males. And interesting that these two youngsters are not with the rest of the pride. They have kind of moved away from the pride for quite a while now. It will be interesting to see if they actually form their own breakaway pride, because the rest of the pride hasn't been in this area for quite a long time. These two lionesses, if I'm not wrong, have been hanging around here for a week or so. So it will be very interesting. So they're still keeping an eye on those impalas, even though they are panting away, eyes closing every now and then. don't know if you can hear the wind blowing over us. Very cool wind. See, every now and then they just close their mouths and they don't pant for a moment, and then they start panting again. I think they might have moved out of the shade into this open grassy patch here to catch some of this cool wind to help them cool down. Look at the one on the right hand side, how she's really listening towards those impalas as well. You can see how where her attention is with her ears perked up like that. Oh, the one on the left just heard something off to the left hand side. But I think we're going to stick around with these two lionesses for now, and then we're going to send you over to Lauren that's got something spotty.
We have Miss Tandy in the Mulwanini on Chitwa. She seems to be spending most of her time in Chitwa now. No longer Torchwood. She's adopted Chitwa. And thank you to Marcel. He's fixed our Chitwa mast so we can actually have this sighting. Otherwise, it's highly unlikely that we could be here. Now, she's obviously snoozing hard here. The Mulwanini is smaller than the Mulwati, but it's also a dry riverbed. And it's cool down here. The sand is wet. Shade. We may have another surprise for you shortly, but not quite yet. Let's just admire Tandy Cat for now. What always surprises me about Tandy is she's so petite. She's very short, very slim, and look at those paws. Phew. The paws of death. She's equipped with her very own weapons. Look at them. They're huge. In comparison to her body size, of course, they're far smaller than lions. And we are not quite allowed to drive the Mulwati yet. But this is the Mulwanini. It runs to the east of the Mulwati, down through Torchwood and into Chitwa and further south. I wonder what she's looking at. What could it be? Now you can see it's still wet. It's still waterlogged, and that's why we're not driving the Mulwati. We've obviously been given the all clear here, but due to the heavy rains, which was quite a few days ago now, the sort of lowest lying points, the drainage lines, the seep lines, the riverbeds are still waterlogged. The Mulwanini is far worse than this. Stuck in bed, you're saying you love those feet, those little bean toes. Looks like tiny little beans. And they are very small in comparison to a lioness or a male leopard. But just relative to her body size, are of course very, very large. She relies heavily on her paws and her claws. But she's been seen every day. She was also seen this morning and yesterday. We tried to come here, but it's just been a little bit tricky with our Chitwa mast down. But of course, Marcello to the rescue. What would we do without that man? Now, just on a side note, before I do forget, because I'm very, very excited to see Miss Tandy here. Ngala's network is currently down, I'm afraid, so you may not see them on the drive today, but the team have gone out and they really hope that it'll come back out. So as soon as it's back, they'll obviously update you on what a wonderful afternoon I am sure they're having. But for now, their network is down. We come to you live from different locations in the wilderness, and it's not easy. Is Davy about to give away the surprise? I'm trying to keep it a surprise for you, but he's desperate to show you. I can't see. Oh, wait, I can. I can from my angle. Bear with us. Ah, there you go. In there. Up here is a... There you go. There is an eye. Who does that eye belong to? Aha, we have Tandy's son. I'm sure he's going to bounce out at any moment and play with his mother. She's watching him like a hawk. But yes, we come to you from the wild, and sometimes, well, technology fails us all. It's not easy, but we do it. So as soon as our network is up, they'll be right back with you. But I'm just hoping Tandy's son pops out so we can get perfect views of him. He's having a great time in there. I don't quite know what he's doing. Has he got something? That would make sense. That's why she's watching him. Oh, he's eating. Do they have a kill in there? Or is it just a small snack? I'm not sure. The sighting may get busy, but I will try and stay here as long as we can, because it's been a while since we've seen Tandy and her son together. I think it was Christmas Day, was it not? Or New Year's Day. That's the one, New Year's Day. That other vehicle next to us is going to move forward a little bit, so we'll just navigate this together. Tandy's just watching him. Are you being a watchful mother, Miss Tandy Cat? Now, he was born in March last year, so he's approaching 10 months. He'll be a year very soon. And I already know they're discussing his name. Penelope, yes, she's posing very beautifully. Still got that, Tandy appearance to her. Now we're just navigating with the other vehicle. He's going forward. Let's see what we can manage from where we are. Can you still get her, Dowie? Or let's see if we can go forward. Okay, here, I think. Can you get it from here? Bear with us, everyone. You can't get her. Okay, FC, I think we need a little bit of time to maneuver here. Okay, while we maneuver, we're going to send you across to another live location.
Just as you come to us now, look at how this female has just changed her body positioning, because there is some wildebeest with tiny little calves that have just come out of the thickets in this direction, maybe coming towards this open clearing to spend the night. Look how she's starting to leopard crawl, or lion crawl in this case. Both of them are up. The wildebeest are actually walking in this direction. And they've got lots of little calves with them. The wildebeest have just stopped. Oh, this female's still coming this way. Oh my goodness. She's creeping closer. Oh my goodness, trying to make herself as small as possible. Look at that. The wildebeest have gone down and are drinking at a little puddle. Look how she's trying to hide behind the tiny little bush there. This is incredible. this behavior. She's got a full stomach as well. Let's see, the wildebeest have not noticed that they are here yet. And with there being so many calves with these wildebeest, these lions are super interested. You can see they're standing around a bit of a grassy patch there. I think there's a mud wallow that's got some water in it. The wind is blowing, has changed direction, is actually blowing the scent of the wildebeest straight towards these lions as well. So they still have no idea that the lions are here. JP, you're asking why a lion would still hunt on a full stomach. So they don't know when their next meal might be or when the opportunity might arise. So they are very opportunistic and will take any opportunity to try and hunt. So even if their bellies are full, they might take the chance and hunt and try and get some more food, even though they won't be able to eat as much. But they know they are set for the next few days, and they'll stick around that carcass. So this female lion, this lioness, is contemplating whether or not she wants to move. If she stands up, though, the wildebeest will most definitely spot her. Tiny little calves are very playful in between the females there. Let's see if all the wildebeest turn and face away from them, then we might see these two lionesses move. But for now, they're staying at the exact same spot. Just one more wildebeest that's drinking. But it too has stopped now. It's just looking towards us. No idea that the lions are there. And is now moving. Oh, wait for a moment. Looking in this direction again. No. Moving towards the rest of the herd. Let's see what they do. The lioness is now sitting a lot more upright. Maybe it's too far away and she loses interest. She's sitting upright. Earlier we were talking about how they're opportunistic. Oh, the one wildebeest is now looking straight towards them. And this lioness is sitting upright, so she's going to be sticking out like a sore thumb now. Keep on listening if we can hear some alarm calls. But we were talking about how they are opportunistic. But with this full belly, this opportunity might be a little bit out of her reach. Maybe if she was a little bit more hungry, she would have shown a lot more interest and tried a little bit harder. But the fact that she's sitting up like that, still interested though, but not in stalking mode anymore. But for now, I think we are going to stay with these two lions and keep an eye on them. Seems like they're losing a bit of stalking ability and they don't have much cover, so we'll send you over to Lauren with a leopard and a cub.
We just had lovely views of the cub there. Apparently it's an Egyptian goose that he's got. We don't have videos anymore. Ah, there you go. He's very busy. He's a very busy boy. There's lots on the agenda today. obviously hoping that he comes for a little snuggle with Mum. That's the sighting that I'm waiting for. But possibly because he's got an Egyptian goose in his mouth. A dead one, of course. Mum is just not looking too pleased. I think she has a tick on her nose. I'm not sure. I think that's a tick. Ouchie. Ticks will sort of fill themselves to the brim, and then once they do that, they normally fall off their hosts. Oh. Tandy. I think Tandy's a little bit angry here with the other vehicle. We're quite far back. That's the other vehicle moving back now. Tandy is not shy of telling you how she feels. If she needs personal space, she'll definitely let you know that. He's just on that fallen over log behind her with his kill. Busani, I have no idea. I really don't know. I don't know if they're symmetrical in their spot pattern or not. The skins are used in lots of tribal practices and traditional ceremonies. So it's very possible that they are, but I'm actually not sure, Busani. He'll come down at some point. From what I can gather, they're quite a duo, this pair now. I really want to get a proper look at him, though. Male cubs normally stay with their mom up to 2 years, so he's got quite a bit to go. Okay, we're gonna sit tight here and hopefully we'll get a look at Tandy's son very shortly.
Okay, so we now here at the dam. I've got a beautiful hippo, which I'm going to do a silent segment with him. It's like a male.
lionesses are still looking at the wildebeest with intent, but the one on the left-hand side is not too interested. I was actually looking the opposite direction completely, but the one on the right, I can see both of them still listening in that direction. The one on the right-hand side, obviously, ears poked up and really looking and listening. When looking at those little wildebeest calves in between the adults. And the wildebeest are actually like starting to graze a bit, moving around a lot. There is one individual though that is keeping on looking in this direction. Well, it's actually just chewing the cud and just not feeding. Mike, you're asking if lions have good hearing. They have very good hearing, much better than what we do. So they can hear things very far away. And I think that they might have actually heard and smelled these wildebeest way before they even saw them, because they were looking in that direction for quite a while. And then as soon as they broke the tree line, that's when they really started showing a lot of interest. So these wildebeest are right out in the open, and the grass is very short here, so there's no cover. And that is why these two lionesses are not moving too much at all. And I think once the wildebeests have broken line of sight with these lions, then we might actually see them move a little bit and try and get into a different position to see if they can maybe stalk them or so. Or these lions might just lose interest completely. Like we said, their tummies are nice and full, so if the opportunity does not arise and they cannot get closer to these wildebeest, they might lose interest in them. But it is quickly getting darker and the sun is about to set here on Phinda, so I think these lionesses are maybe waiting for the dark, and then it will be easier to maybe get closer to these wildebeest. But we are now going to send you over to Tswalu with some bat-eared foxes while we wait and see what these lionesses get up to.
So we just came to have a look at our little bat-eared fox den with the 3 little pups. So we have found Mum and Dad, but the last time I was here there was hardly any grass cover. And now there's a lot of grass. So we have heard the little guys. They are squeaking at the base of that little blackthorn. So one dashes out every now and again and then comes back. I'll just see that they're moving further back. Okay, I'm going to go forward by half a meter. Maybe we'll get another glimpse of them. So we haven't even seen how many are still here. Pups are good. Oh, no. So with this grass cover, it's quite difficult. I can't see. We had them at the base of the bush, but not at the moment. Have you got one? Oh, there we go. Oh, no. So, yep. Bat-eared fox pups are still doing well, but well hidden in the grass. There they are. Yeah. So, much bigger than the last time you saw them, probably almost double the size. So they're getting a lot more independent. So Pele is asking, do these fox species hear better than most other fox species? I would say yes, because of the size of those ears. So they'll literally hold them just parallel to the surface of the soil, and then they're hearing sort of beetle larvae and grubs able to scratch. underneath the surface. So probably about that far under the surface they can actually hear little grubs or beetle larvae, and they hold their ears, sort of put their nose down and then hold their ears up flat against the surface to listen. So they do have very good hearing, probably more superior because based on just the size of their ears, but no. So they're still too small to go hunting with the parents at this stage. So one of them will babysit at the den and the other one will go foraging, and then they'll take turns because the mother has to go foraging to find enough insects to produce the milk, because they're still suckling these cubs about 14, 15 weeks that she'll suckle them. So they're not, they're probably only now about 2 months, I'd say. Maybe 2.5 months, somewhere around there. Yeah. Oh, no. What did you think, Craig, if I go forward? Might get them if we go forward. It's the bush has thickened up quite a bit with all this rain. I mean, this grass growth is literally the last 2 weeks. While you weren't with us, we've had very, very good rains. They are so well hidden. I'm going to go forward one more bush, Craig. I don't think we're going to get them. No, that's it. They're lying flat in the grass and they've gone completely. So all we would hope to get would be to get this little ears sticking up, but not at the moment. So to our not so relaxed bat-eared foxes, we're going to send you to Lauren, who's got a nice relaxed leopard.
Got a slightly better visual. She's relaxed. It's just our vehicle now, and not the best visuals of the cub, but we're getting there. He's feasting hard on his Egyptian goose, and this just shows you leopards will snack on whatever they can, be it a frog, be it a gecko, alates, birds, ground birds. This poor Egyptian goose did obviously not see them coming. And leopards cannot fly, which means he must have stalked it on the ground. And I guess the vegetation worked to his advantage. I would imagine it's his skill. I could be wrong. It could actually be Tandy's, but he needs to practice. He needs to fine-tune his skills as well. He's getting older. But it's actually, Davy and I were just saying how lucky we are. We've got the sighting to ourselves at the minute, and it's also incredibly cool and shaded, which really is beautiful. Got the woodland kingfisher in the background, overgrown vegetation. The sun is not fun, is it, Tandy? There's something very tender, in my opinion. I've seen leopard mother and cub. Because they are solitary and you're so used to seeing them on their own, there's something lovely about when you see them together. You see the little bean toes? And yes, Tandy's 14, but she's in great condition. I'm just a little bit curious about the sort of shifts in movements of the leopardesses I'm seeing around here. Just in the past few weeks, things are shifting. I mean, Tandy was always on Torchwood, always around First Rock, and for about a week now, she's been on Chitwa, and the open area, and the Mulwanini. Cheep, churr. Wasn't great, was it?
Keep trying.
Keep trying, okay. And hopefully we can stay until they get mobile. A cub was called in this morning. But a lot of people get... Oh, nasty insects. A lot of people get confused with the cubs. I personally feel Kuchava's cub and Tandy's cub look very similar. There's also Kanyeni's cub. And if they're alone, people are still getting used to identifying the cubs. They're used to identifying the adults. Oh, Tandy, why are you being so cute right now? And this is a relief. This is normally the time, once you feel that break in the heat, this is when the leopards do go into a deep sleep. It's difficult for them to sleep in the heat. Very difficult. They'll be sleeping, but it's not comfortable. They've got to constantly sort of pant, constantly cool down, seek shade. But when that heat breaks, I mean, it's almost 6:20 here. It really does get cooler, and they will go into deep sleeps. And I have a funny feeling that's what's happening now with our queen. Viola, Djuma's a very small property. It's only 1,200 hectares. It's not large. We're actually not even on Djuma at the moment. We're on Cheetah. So yes, when Tandy graces us with her presence on Djuma, she's the oldest leopardess. I mean, Tlalamba's young, and Shidulu's also much younger than Tandy. But if you're meaning in the wider area, then yes, I believe Tandy's the oldest leopardess that we see on WildEarth. And Sel is 12 years old, and which is also quite old for a female leopard. I'm not sure about Ikanyeni actually. I think I'll need to check her date of birth. I'm actually not sure about how old she is. But the ones that we see, we regularly see Shidulu, we see Tlalamba, we see Tandy, we see Sabui. That's probably the most, sort of, the top females that we see around here. There's Kara now and Inzutini, but they're both very young. Mali, you're saying she must be having a fun and active dream. Don't think she's sleeping just yet. I think she's moving around to try and get comfortable and get rid of all those nasty flies. I don't think she's dreaming just yet. I could be wrong. I've just checked Ikanyeni's birth date, and she was born in 2006. So although we don't see her at WildEarth, we actually had her the other day, but it was far too far east at the Kruger boundary. I'm doing some mathematics here, and because Davi knows that I'm trying to do the mathematics, that's when he wants to put the camera on me. How old is she, Davi? Okay. She's also old. She could possibly be the same age as Tandy. I'd love to put her on camera for you. I really would. She's also got a cub, but she just moves sort of far east. She's seen on Torchwood, but it's the very eastern side of Torchwood on that Kruger boundary. But one day we will get Kanyeni for you all with her cub. So she's also an older leopardess in answer to your question. But Tandy's thriving. She's doing so well. So we're going to stay with Tandy really as long as we can this evening, and now we're going to send you across to some very relaxed lions.
You know, these lions have indeed relaxed down quite a bit, and it is because the wildebeest have actually spotted them. So the lioness on the right hand side, she actually sat up a little bit, and then one of the wildebeests actually spotted her, and now you can see all of them standing together there. It's just the one bull that's close by. He doesn't care too much. So they're confident, but listen. And now there's Egyptian geese that's calling. But listen if you can hear the snorting and sounds that the wildebeests are making to let the lions know we have spotted you and that the tree is up, so no need to try and hunt us anymore. You can see it's quite interesting, the two females coming closer to have a closer look at the lions, and then the youngsters right in the back there with the rest of the herd kind of protected and further away. You can just hear them giving their grunts and snorts every now and then. Ponytail, you're asking what is my most memorable lion hunt that I've seen. I think it is probably that's a difficult one actually, because I think every single lion hunt for me is very memorable, but I remember one happening very, very close to Mountain Lodge on Phinda, and they basically caught an Ngala really close to one of the rooms, which was incredible, actually from the same pride of lions that we are looking at now. And have a look at this lioness while she's lying down like this now, and while she's very interested in those wildebeests, you can actually see the spots on her stomach, which makes me think that she's one of the sub-adults that's grown up and still quite young. You can see those spots are quite prominent on her stomach, and it's not disappeared like some of the other lions that's in this pride. The wildebeests are still alarm calling every now and then, but they are starting to lose a bit of interest as well. There's a few in the back that started moving away from the lions and moving a bit behind some thickets. But just looking at this lioness and the way that she's panting and really not showing too much interest, Greg, you're saying it amazes you how patient they can be. I think in this particular instance, I don't think she's patient. She's maybe just knows that there's no chance for her to catch something. But they do have incredible patience, and it comes with time. With these two younger lionesses, maybe their patience are not as great as some other lions, but you would think that, or we might think that they maybe have lost interest at the moment, but who knows, maybe she is waiting and she is still interested in hunting these wildebeest, just waiting for them to lose interest in her. She's definitely still listening and looking towards them. And incredible that she's still panting. It's cooled down so much. The sun is just about below the horizon, I think. Oh my goodness, we actually have a beautiful sunset behind us that we are missing. We are gonna see if we can reposition, and then we'll send you over to Andrew.
So cool now, looking at the beautiful sunset. But again, I'm going to be doing a silent segment here.
at that beautiful sun that's sitting there through the clouds. We've just gone to the other side of these lines, and how incredible is that? The clouds really making it so beautiful. We thought that we were not going to get a view of the sun as it was setting, but then Owen also said that the clouds might make it quite beautiful, and it indeed has. Look at that. And just as the sun is setting, see this lioness also letting her head down, losing interest in these wildebeests completely, or still showing a bit of interest, just looking up. As I said, she's still very interested in these lions, in these wildebeests, it seems. How beautiful is that, being with the lioness and then seeing the sun set like this. Jason, you're saying that was a gorgeous sunset. It was indeed, and what made it so special is these very low clouds that we have that's in between us and the sun, so the sun's not not changing the light on these clouds at all, because there's a massive bank of clouds in front of, I think in front of the rays that's preventing them from changing color. So quite a spectacular sunset that we've got. You just see the sliver of sun just behind the big bank of clouds that's in the back there. It was quite a hot and humid day, and I think that's why there's so much clouds in the air. And actually it is quite dark off to the left hand side, and I think we might have a bit of a rainstorm maybe later tonight or so. Maybe it's building up to the next couple of days. We'll see. The sun's now completely behind the clouds now. I can just see a bit of coloration there still left. Wow, I just came back from leave, so having this incredible sunset is really such a welcome back from leave, and oh, wow, what a day it's been. This lioness, now that the sun's completely gone, this lioness is still a little bit interested in these wildebeests. But not as interested as she was earlier. I think with the wildebeest now alarm calling so much, she's actually falling asleep. You can see her eyes closing. The wildebeest bull still standing very close to them and alarm calling. I don't know if you can hear that. You can hear a few birds calling in the background as well. But for now, I think we are going to stick around with these lions just for a little bit longer. Maybe they'll change their behavior a bit, or maybe not. And then we'll send you over to Lauren with a leopard that's looking for a spot to lie down and change her position.
I think Tandy's got her sleeping position very much down to a T here. Oh, it looks comfortable. It really does. The cups, though, there's definitely an Egyptian goose. We got a good view of the legs. But he's just out of our visual range. I'm sure he's going to spring up at some point to come and see Mom. And hopefully we'll be here when he does. He's getting so big. He's a lot more comfortable around the vehicles, and Tandy really has done so well to raise them to this age. There's threats on every corner. Other leopards, other male leopards, other female leopards. Moya female killed one of Shidulu's cub from the same litter as Kara. Tingana's killed lots of other young leopards before. Lions, hyenas, even wild dogs. If a wild dog came across a leopard cub and it was much younger, they absolutely would. All sorts of threats. Even when it's a very, very small cub, or when he was a very small cub, aerial threats, snakes. She's done so well. But I wonder why she prefers Chitwa. It's very interesting because Sabui's on Chitwa a lot, and so is Kuchava. So although Kuchava's her daughter, Sabui is not, and it's still competing females. It's interesting that she chooses to come here rather than Torchwood, where there's not as much pressure. I'm not sure if you can see it from here, Davi, but you can see the half of the goose from where I am. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. See that? There you have it. Your Desha, absolutely. Absolutely. They don't go fishing for them, though. They are not fishermen. But I remember at Chitwa Dam, the very property that we are on right now, there was a mass fish die-off due to the dam reaching maximum carrying capacity of hippos. Excess nutrients arising from defecation from all the hippos, which started to remove the oxygen from the air. Bacteria can remove oxygen. And this creates... Oh, sorry, Davi. Please forgive me. This can create temporary hypoxic conditions. And therefore, there was a mass fish die-off. So because all the fish died, they don't sink, they float, and they made their way to the embankment. So we came down here and there was dead fish all around the dam, and lo and behold, Mr. Tingana was there eating all the fish. Hyenas arrived. It's a perfect snack. Leopards really are opportunistic. We just see them up trees with impala or duikers or steenbok. But really, they'll be snacking all the time on birds, small mammals, dwarf mongoose, squirrels. That was one tired cat. Even really small amphibians, reptiles, that's how they'll sustain themselves. We regularly see Tandy with scrub hairs, but of course that's not a big meal and it's not going to last long. But it's actually really good to see leopards feasting on things like Egyptian goose or fish. So yes, in answer to your question, they absolutely will eat fish. They just won't go fishing for them. It's not often that a fish is outside of water, unless there's a situation like what happened at Chitwa with that mass die-off. Otherwise, they're probably not going to get lucky with fish. But there's a fascinating video online, I don't know which platform, a deep dark hole that is the internet, and it's a leopard, a young female leopard approaching a crocodile. And it's at night time, and the crocodile's mouth is full of meat. I don't know what meat or where it got it from. And once crocodiles become full, they become quite immobile. They've got to digest first. They're reptiles. It's all to do with sort of metabolism and energy levels from the environment. And this female leopardess is able to go up to the crocodile and pull meat out of its mouth. And it does it successfully, and it just walks away with lots of flesh. They are very opportunistic, just like hyenas. They find it hard to resist. We just see them more often than not with antelopes. It's all about survival, really. Whatever they can get their paws on. So of course we're not going to go anywhere, but we're going to send you guys down to Tswalu with some giraffes.
welcome back to Tswalu. So we've got two male giraffes. They're relatively young male in comparison to others. They don't have sort of a large bump on the front forehead there, but these two have been having a little bit of a tussle. The one certainly on the left-hand side decides every now and again he wants to push the other one around, but for them it's kind of practice. They're still relatively young, so not too much happening from the seriousness side. They're just testing each other out. We might have... They're also covered in louse flies at the moment, so that's why their tails are working overtime. Just trying to keep those flies off, and no, they've decided that they're heading out into the blue yonder, side by side. So something that you notice now quite easy is the fact that they've got white on the back of the ears. A lot of animals will have follow me signs, and for giraffe that makes sense that their follow me sign is not low down on their backside like a waterbuck with that nice white circle, but theirs are actually the back of their ears. It'll help reflect heat away from the ears, but also if a giraffe is looking around through the trees looking for others, it is an easy thing for them to see would be the white on the back of the ears. But they've chosen a nice spot, good visibility for any predators. They wouldn't have to worry too much. We also got out in the open plains, we've also got a springbok as they move across to that side. I think Craig might be able to pan across all the way to that side. Just one single springbok out in the open. Also smart to choose that place. Interestingly enough, that's a female. And a lot of them have been lambing, so she might be hiding a lamb in the grass somewhere, specifically because she's all by herself. So she may have just recently given birth and she's got the lamb hiding somewhere, and only when she needs to feed it will she call it to come and suckle milk. But with the springbok, the female's got long, thin little horns relative to the male, so that is a female. I don't see... The lamb will be very well hidden. It'll be like a sort of a brown, stony colour, and then curled up either in the grass or behind one of those eland beans, well hidden. There's also, I don't see anything, but we have been seeing quite a lot of springbok lambs lately. Oh, and the giraffe have left us. Now you see them, now you don't. They're completely gone. So only thing left is our little springbok. We're going to send you across to Deirdre, who's got another animal that hides its young very well.
These two lionesses are pretty much in the same spot. The one just got up and went to the toilet and then went and lied down again. There's the wildebeest still off to the left, and they're still keeping an eye on the lions, not letting them out of their sight at all. Very interesting, but there's actually a wildebeest bull that has gone and lied down, and he was just rolling around for a moment. You can see the wildebeest, they're not far away from these lions, but they know that over open clearing like this, if these lionesses try to chase them now, there's no chance they'll be able to catch them. You can see the bull lying down, actually rolling a little bit, maybe trying to get some dust onto his back and scent mark a little bit while he's rolling around. All this movement from this wildebeest bull is definitely getting a lot of attention from this lioness. You can see she's got her ears really pointing towards that bull as he's lying down and rolling around. I wonder if he even has any worry about these two young lionesses. Maybe he knows that they are too young or too small to hunt him, or maybe he thinks that this distance is enough for him to be able to get away from them safely. Chance, you're asking if it's easier for lions to hunt at night. Yes, definitely so. I think easier in the sense that it gives them more camouflage and the animals are a little bit easier to stalk or so. Obviously they still need to take the animals down or so that is why lions are seen mostly as nocturnal and why they are mostly active at night. Just because it's nice and cool, they can cover long distances without worrying about overheating and cooling themselves down, but especially because of the camouflage that the darkness gives them, especially at night like tonight. I don't see a moon up yet, and if it becomes completely overcast and there's no moon and it's completely dark, then they have the best chance to hunt, because then it's so dark that the animals can't really see them also. And maybe that is what these lionesses are waiting for. Maybe waiting for the darkness to fall, and then they stand a better chance of getting closer to these wildebeests. But even if it is completely dark, they won't be able to just cross this open clearing, because the wildebeest will still see the movement and alarm call to them, and maybe see them a little bit at night, but they'll maybe try and use the thickets to maybe stalk a little bit closer. But looking at these lionesses, it seems like they are quite happy to just be settling down, even though it's getting a bit cooler. But we are going to see if we can head over to Lauren, where she's got an animal that is feeding.
Okay, we have repositioned because Tandy got up, but unfortunately it does mean that I don't have comms. So Darby will be my translator. I think he's in comms, but we've got great looks at the little sun. Tandy's still here, but she just got up to investigate. It's getting cooler, and that meant that we could just go forward a little bit. It's so nice to see him. He's very, very happy with his Egyptian goose. I'd love to see him hunt. I'd love to see him in action. And Tandy leaves him for long bouts, sort of long windows of time. She has to. They have to learn the life of feast or famine very, very quickly. Food is not a given every single day. It's not put on the table every single day unless you go and find it. He's a hungry Horus. He's still small in comparison to her. When you see them together, he's still very small, but my goodness, he's growing. Oh, hello. Look at you, proud with your bird. Are you going to share some with Mom? I take it that's a no. I think that's a I'm not sharing. No way, Jose. Poor Mom. I think she shared plenty of kills with him. Now he's positioned right in front of the vehicle. Where are you going? You know, Tandy's not even tried to take it off him. Okay, well, we definitely can't go anywhere now. He's far too close to the car, which means we're going to sit here and enjoy.
Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, Mama. Just checking us out, everybody. There's no aggression here. Very relaxed. A herd of elephants moving around your car like that is truly, truly magical.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on WildEarth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
The lioness just got up and she's now very interested in the wildebeest because the wildebeest have decided to move off and have actually started trotting away with all their youngsters. Let's just see if we can get a view of them as they move away. There you can just see them behind the one bush there now. They've decided to move away from where the lions can see them and just trotting over towards the open clearing on the other side. I think they're trying to get to the open clearing there so that they can be there when night falls and when it's completely dark, and they can keep an eye around them on these open clearings. Yeah, they're just disappearing now off to the right hand side. And if you have a look now at this lioness that's standing up, you can see her body is nice, is actually fairly short, so it tells us that she is a young lioness. But look at that belly, how low that belly is hanging. My goodness. No wonder they were panting so much earlier today. See the black behind the ears showing us where she's listening to and looking straight towards those wildebeests. Looking and listening to the movement. She's just trying to reposition herself a little bit every now and then. Interesting how all of a sudden she changed her behavior as the wildebeest started moving. just can't help herself to show interest. But now that they've moved off, there she's settling down. Actually flopping down. Oh, too much work for today. With a full belly like that. See how they're not even looking at the wildebeest anymore. Heads down completely. Maybe they'll try a little bit later on when the opportunity is a little bit better. Yeah, the light is fading quickly now as the sun is completely below the horizon. But I think we might leave these two lionesses and let them be with their full bellies, and then we'll send you over to Tswalu where they've got something beautiful.
Ladies, I am sending you all these beautiful bunches of flowers. They've literally just come up in the last week. They are known as saw lilies, but scientific name is a Nerine laticoma, but beautiful pink flowers that get pollinated by lots of moths and butterflies. So we're just in a beautiful field of these. They like the calcrete soils plus also some of the clayey soils, and we're in a beautiful sort of grass bank of sour grass, this one here. Sour grass meaning not so nice to the taste. Once it starts getting the inflorescence, it actually starts burning the animals' mouths. It's so sour. So not choice grass number 1, and choice grass for all guides number 2 is good old carrot seed grass. This is the Velcro sticky thingy in your socks. These are not the most pleasant to walk through, this carrot seed grass, but you know that Velcro was invented from somebody looking at nature and looking at things like grass seeds, like the carrot seed with all the little spikes on it, and then he figured out how to make Velcro from looking at plants, grass plants. So we're just going to spread some more carrot seed for future. So these little lilies, these pink lilies, So Claire's asking, just as I was about to explain about if these plants have any medicinal purposes. They don't actually, because if you touch the bulb, so underneath, they're called a geophyte. So a geophyte means a bulb underneath the ground. And if you touch that bulb, you can get exposed to what they call the calcium oxalate crystals, which could be an irritant to the skin. The leaves are also believed to be poisonous to livestock. So, yeah. In Afrikaans, it's called a gifbol, which would be a poisonous ball or bulb underneath. So not too many medicinal uses for this one. And they also don't last very long. They sort of pop open for a couple of days, get pollinated by the moths and butterflies, and then the flower just sort of fizzles out, leaves little red seeds on the ground, and then the leaves just disappear completely, and then we wait a whole nother year till we see them again. We're going to send you to one of the other ladies. I'm sending Lauren some flowers. She's got something in the grass.
Now Tandy's son is still feasting away here on the kill. And I just want to bring up something that's been brought to my attention by Michael Fleetwood. Thank you, Michael. I was just discussing leopards and fish, as you know. And it's an incredible photo shared online of Nkanyeni, who I was just talking about, and Mvula, one of the older dominant males around here who's no longer with us. Their son actually dove into the mud to get some catfish. And he obviously comes out of this muddy dam. I don't feel like it's summer in this photo. It looks like a winter, barren landscape. And he looks like a melanistic leopard. He's black, he's covered in mud, and he's got a catfish in his mouth. Thank you, Michael. I did not know that they actually went fishing. I imagine this will be winter, and it was possibly more desperate times. But if you think of a catfish and the size of a catfish, that's a lot of protein. catfish are not small. They've got those barbels, the sensory barbels that they can navigate underwater without actually being able to see anything in a really muddy dam with no visibility whatsoever. Wow, incredible. I'm not able to show you my phone, but it's online, and there you have it. If leopards need to fish, then they absolutely will. I wouldn't imagine they would do it somewhere like Cheetah at the risk of crocodiles, but maybe at a smaller watering hole. They will absolutely dive in to go get a snack. When hunger strikes, one must do what one must do. Hello, you. I have no idea where Tandy's gone. We may have to pull out soon. We've been here quite a long time, and I think another vehicle wants to come in. But it's been an incredible sighting. I love spending time with mothers and cubs. Did you get that name, Davy?
I think it's suffix.
Suffix? Yes, they do. Normally, on average, male leopards will stay with their mom until 2 years old, and then they'll sort of start to also get pushed out. They'll get ready to go a bit nomadic, then they'll go in search of territory, then they'll disperse. It takes a little bit of time before dispersal actually takes place, and female leopards are pushed away first. And that's because they don't disperse. They get a section of mom's territory, and they essentially become a competitor, if you like. But mom hands over a section of the territory and says, here, go, make your own, establish yourself. And it also takes time for the female to become territorial, but they definitely become independent long before the males do. It's a different lifestyle. Males grow up, they have to go and search for territory, a large territory, they have to compete, and they set up their territory to encompass a number of different females. Whereas a female takes over a little part of mom's territory and then has to sort of navigate her way, become territorial, and get ready to have her own litter. Get ready to compete with other females and get ready to mate. It's two very different life paths. We're pulling out shortly. You're welcome to take our space. After this segment, we will pull out, but I think we've been very, very lucky here, stuck in the Mulwanini with Tandy and son. Who has a goose? I don't think there's going to be much left of this goose. So FCB will need to pull out of this sighting now. It's a little bit tricky to maneuver, but we have to make space for another vehicle, I'm afraid. Okay, everyone, this might be a little bit tricky. Are you holding on, Davy?
Yep.
I'm just going to take this really slowly. We're up an embankment, and of course we've got a small little cub nearby us. We're just going to move out of this sighting very, very slowly. not doing a very good job of this. Okay, let's try again. Sorry everyone, we're getting stuck in ruts here. Okay, so while I get out of here, we're going to send you across to another location.
Oh, we just, as you came to us, we found a journey of giraffe. It's unfortunately getting quite dark here at the moment, but let's see if we can get a view of this group of giraffes here. It looks like there's quite a few youngsters or so that's up ahead as well. Look at that, there is quite a few of them. We actually came through this area towards some dry riverbeds to see if we can look for some leopard. But have a look at that. There's quite a few individuals, like a few youngsters and a few females as well. And there's one big bull that's standing right in the middle there. Very, very dark, as you can see. Here's some of the cicadas calling in the background. Some birds far off in the distance as the bush goes to sleep here on Phinda. I think these giraffes all moved into this open clearing here to also find a spot to rest for the evening. They might move around a little bit and feed, but the giraffe on Phinda are actually quite well known to lie down. Hammond, you're asking how often giraffes sleep, and just as I was saying it, they sleep quite often during the evenings. On Phinda, we've seen them often lie down. You might have one or two individuals maybe standing up and keeping standing up, but every now and then they do lie down, and they actually tuck their heads in behind their shoulders, almost like a bird would behind its wing, and they actually do lie down. But I think they all came to this big open clearing here to be able to see what's going on around them at night. As I said, to lions in this particular area do prey on giraffe every now and then, so to keep an eye out for any predators. There's one or two of them that's actually staring down towards the dry riverbed off to the right hand side, where we were hoping to go look for some leopard. Incredible how this one close to the bull is actually very light in color and the bull is completely dark. Interesting how every single one of them are so unique, even with coloration, not just the spots. Few sub-adult giraffe, and then one or two females, I think, with their previous calves that's still with them. But this bull, he's just enjoying chewing the cud and hanging around with these females. Maybe one or two of the females might want to go into estrus soon. Looking at the size of the younger giraffe, they've grown up quite a bit, so the female's going to estrus pretty soon, and that's probably why he's hanging around. The wind is almost died down completely. But I think these giraffes are going to settle down in this open clearing, and I think we'll leave them now that it's getting dark. See if we can look for some other animals, and we're going to send you over to Tswalu where they've got some activity at a watering hole.
So look quickly before it runs away. There's one of the little blacksmith lapwing chicks. So we here at our regular dam, that was the parents that we were following earlier in the month, that had 4 eggs. It seems to be that they only have 2 chicks left. But look how independent they are. He's already running around behind either mom or dad. It's difficult to tell. In the background, they're already looking for little insects and grubs. Anything that's aquatic on the edge of the water. Oh, no, there he's going to run. So, incredibly long legs. And still relatively fluffy. They don't really have too many of their feathers yet. Oh, here's a dab chick swimming into the shot. We've just been photobombed. So, also known as a little grebe. Oh. And ducked out the shot and back out. So the little grebe will look for frogs, fish, and are known for incredibly fast maneuvering underneath the water if they need to go. It's deceptive because it's actually the wind on the water. It's not the speed of the bird. It's just the wind on the water that's making it look like it's going much faster. Oh, there's another. Oh, maybe that's chick number 3. In the background there. Another one coming in from the left on the edge of the bushes. Yeah, I think that's the 3rd one. So 3 out of 4 so far. Not too bad. You're hearing bubbling casinas in the background. Just that plop, plop. Little frog. So we've had a phenomenal amount of rain in the last couple of weeks, so we're hearing all sorts of frogs. But we only have about 6 species of frogs, so it is just nice to hear them. Especially after the rains, we get the little bushveld rain frog that starts calling, but these ones are the bubbling casinas. Sort of very much a yellow and black frog with banding on it. So the parents would be of those little chicks. They'd be relatively aggressive if there was any predator approaching the water, something like a monitor lizard or eagles. They could get quite defensive and they'll sound the alarm, and then the chicks will know that they either need to lie down or run for cover. But already, after only being hatched for a couple of weeks, already quite independent from the parents. And they'll stick around until they're old enough to fly and move off and go to.
Sorry about that, everyone. Don't quite know what happened to Tswalu, but they will be back. We are racing Ferrari Safari style, as you may be able to tell, through to the hyena den. We got out of that Mulvanini. It was not easy. I started to get a little bit nervous there. There's lots of ruts made, so it was a little bit tricky, but we got out, and I'm trying to get to the hyena den on time. How much time do I have left? Okay. I think I can do it. It's dark enough now, and of course it's cool enough, and that's a prime thing for the hyenas. When it's too hot, they're just not going to come outside of their den. Why would you? I think I can make it. I try to keep only my dims on. I really don't like using bright lights out here. But it doesn't make it easy to see all the bumps and the road ahead. Okay, so I'm going to do my very best to get to this den on time, but for now, we're going to send you back down to Deirdre at the Waterhole.
So, back at Tswalu, we don't know what happened there, but the only other birds that we can see on the water is, must be, drum roll, the Egyptian goose. We I think no waterhole is complete without a pair of Egyptian geese. And these ones will be the dominant ones of this particular area. And if any other Egyptian geese decide to fly by, they get quite upset. They'll make quite a lot of noise, and they'll even lift their wings up and show these big white windows on the wings to any others flying over, to basically tell them that the territory is occupied, and they must just keep on flying. So just nice bobbing up. We haven't seen any Egyptian goose chicks. One of our dams we've got some, so we'll go and see if we can find those for you in the next couple of days, but nothing here with this pair. So they would typically, an Egyptian goose is actually quite an interesting one, because they'll nest above the ground. They can nest in some big trees anywhere easily over 2 meters above the ground, and then when those goslings hatch, they will fall out the tree. So Rick is asking, I think I got, do we have saddlebull storks? Is that what I heard? So saddlebull storks, if that was the question, no, we don't get them here. There's actually almost not enough wetland areas between here. Sorry, now I am laughing at myself. Do we get any hippos at Tswalu? I heard saddlebull stork, can you believe it? No, unfortunately not. The hippos are not a semi-arid area animal, so they wouldn't naturally have occurred in these areas. And these waterholes, they're exceptionally high at the moment because we've had very good rains, but in the dry season can go literally right down to a puddle, so a hippo would definitely not be very happy living in a puddle. And for the same reason, we also don't get crocodile here at Tswalu. So hippo and crocodile are not at Tswalu. But just, I mean, Craig, if you pan that side, if you can, that sunset that we're starting to get is amazing. Sorry, I'm making it a bit difficult because it is all the way behind us. But that's our sun going down amongst the beautiful camel thorn trees. That's still the blue sky area. We still anticipate some rain later on this evening. The clouds in the north are still very, very dark blue. Oh, all the birds still calling. The bubbling casino frogs have stopped. HH, I totally agree with you. Such nice warm colours at Tswalu. So we're very, very lucky. From a photographic perspective, we generally tend to get almost a golden hour that's a golden 2 hours, both in the afternoon as well as in the morning, and particularly in our winter season. It's very, very nice. And we're just really fortunate that in summer the sun sets so late. I mean, we've still got about another 10-15 minutes of sunlight before it hits the horizon. But yes, agreed, beautiful colours. So it's still pretty windy out here, so it'll be interesting to see what our cloud cover looks like tomorrow morning. Sonia, that's a good question. Because there's no crocodiles here, would it be safe to swim here? I would say yes, but yeah, you never know what you're going to find between your toes if you have to walk into that water, because there'll be a whole lot of a lot of critters living in there. But yeah, I would say swimming. I think Dylan was crazy enough in the winter season to go plunge into one of the waterholes. You won't catch me doing that though. Especially in stagnant water, you do have to be careful about sort of blue-green algae and things like that. But no crocodiles here, no hippos here, so it would be safe to swim. Maybe the fish would nibble your toes a bit, but otherwise I think you'd be fine. Luckily, most of these are also relatively shallow, so it's not too difficult. Just a beautiful, beautiful scene. I'm going to have another scan around with my binoculars along the edge of the water to see. We've missed... sometimes there's tortoise, but I haven't seen one yet. That's probably more late afternoon. Just a little... So the Egyptian geese have got out the water. They're right at the back there, and then... So, Tony, you asking, is this water green in colour? No, not at this angle, but you do have some water bodies that once they've been exposed to like an algae, you do get like an algal bloom, and then you can have a sort of a green tinge across the top of the water. It's still okay to drink for a little bit, for some animals, but not ideally for human consumption if the water is green. I remember when I was a young child, we used to go camping in a game reserve, and we all decided that we were going to take ourselves on a walk in this game reserve. Don't tell my mother. And we approached some rhinos on foot. I was probably only about 12 years old, and we'd been gone for hours, and we ran out of water. So we landed up at this sort of slimy green watering hole, and one of them was a Boy Scout, and he said, well, all we have to do is just filter this slimy green water through our t-shirts, and we'll be able to drink the water. And of course, you know, you've got to try this. So we did. We filtered the water through our t-shirts into our water bottle, drank the water, and we're none the worse for wear after that. Subsequently, we walked out the bush, and the parents had all sent out a search party for the four bush wanderers, and eventually, about 5.5 hours later, we got back to camp. Very unamused parents, but we had the time of our lives, and that was probably the start of my career. Was walking in the bush in a national park, technically without permission, but we won't tell anybody where it was or when it was. So, yeah, definitely if you're in a survival situation and you've got some method to filter or boil water, that would be better than just drinking it directly. And you also never really want to drink on the edges. That's why often the animals will actually walk into the water a little bit further and drink a little bit further into the water, because the water tends to be cleaner than on the edge, where some animals will defecate or they walk in with their feet and they disturb the mud and these little insects and critters on the edge. So, a little bit further in is always advisable, but not in an area that's got crocodile. You won't want to wade into the water to go and see. Crocodile can hide under even sort of ankle depth water, so you definitely don't want to try that. So remember to send us questions at #WildEarth at FC. And we're going to move on from our beautiful setting here.
Have you been watching WildEarth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. WildEarth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live WildEarth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
The new year has arrived, and with it comes all kinds of other new beginnings. From hyena cubs to meerkat pups, the bush is full of new life. If you want to find out more, then sign up to be an explorer and join our New Beginnings Fireside Chat. Tristan and Steve will be looking at what's new here in the wilderness as we enter 2021. Join them on the 17th of January, straight after the Sunset Safari.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
Do you dream of traveling to a far-flung wilderness location where life continues as normal? A place where you can escape to nature and breathe. If you become a WildEarth explorer, then this could soon become a reality. Subscribe today and stand a chance to win regular travel prizes. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
Wondering if we shouldn't swing around and do the sociable weaver's nest. Hey. Well, back at the Waterhole, we haven't left yet. We're hoping for something to come to us now, as we're heading into a beautiful, beautiful sunset. Look at that. The Kalahari sunset's just absolutely amazing when we've got some clouds in the sky, and fortunately out on the western horizon there's not clouds blocking those beautiful colors, so they're just going to get more and more. Maybe they'll go pink, maybe they'll go purple, sort of a nice, beautiful, beautiful scene. That's certainly something for us as guides and even the camera crew on the vehicles. We're actually very, very fortunate to see on a daily basis. Well, Lady Luck and I are in agreement. She says Tswalu sunsets are always her favorites. I absolutely agree. I think it's just because we've got it's such a vast open landscape. There's nothing sort of blocking the view. There's a whole lot of hardy-dar ibises making their classic good-night sounds before they go roost up in the trees for the night. Just absolutely tranquil as everything starts shutting down now. So this is sort of the transition zone. All the day animals are starting to stretch and thinking about going to bed, and all the nocturnal animals, those little bat-eared foxes, think about those. They'll start stretching, yawning, rolling over. Even the lions at Phinda and maybe the Leopard at Djuma, they'll all start thinking now about getting up, getting moving, and going on with their day. So some are finishing their day and some are starting their evening. You can even hear all the chittering sounds of the sociable weavers as they also start heading to bed. For them it's just closing down for the day. Make sure they get themselves into a nice little warm hole, snuggle up to one or two others, and make it through the night. Leanne says it almost looks like the end scene to a movie. Absolutely, I agree with you. The only thing that's missing is the script that says the end. But look, I mean, even in the few minutes how those colors have changed, it's amazing. Absolutely beautiful. So as everything starts shutting down here for the evening, so are we going to start shutting down. So thank you for joining us at Tswalu and at Phinda and at Djuma for this evening, and we will see you tomorrow morning, 5:30 Central African Time. See you there.